the request of one of our 6 regular followers, we are doing a continuation segment on the composting toilet. Hopefully we will answer some more questions or give you more confidence or whatever. So if you don't like talking about poop or urine, if you don't like the words waste, and you don't want to think about it, skip ahead a couple minutes. This part's not for you. Okay. Justin's going to empty the toilet to show you. He's thrilled about it. To show you the process. And I'm going to talk through a couple of things as we do that and answer some questions. The most common question is, how gross is that and does it stink? Justin's face aside, it's really not that gross. It's not like either one of us is like, let me change the poop, but we have both changed the poop bag and taken it out. It's really not that gross, which you'll see. It takes like 2 seconds. We tie it up, we throw it away. It's really not a big deal. 90% of the time, the toilet doesn't stink. The trap door is very effective at trapping the poop stinks. But when it's, Justin's making quite a face at me right now.
We are in the 10% right now.
We're in the 10% range because it needs to be emptied. So that's a good indicator for us. Like, oh, it's starting to get a little bit smelly. We have the fan that goes out and helps flush the stink. But yeah, it is time for it to be changed. The trap door, however, is so effective. One day, Justin went in there and opened the trap door just to fart, and then shut it and trapped the fart, and it was effective, and I didn't smell anything. So that is a testament to the effectiveness of the trap door. Are you ready to show them?
Fan on. Okay. So, bag ready. Breathing through my mouth.
It's not that bad.
It's terrible. Did you show the vent?
I don't know if we did before or not. So over here in the corner, we have vent that goes straight outside, and also this is for a DC power fan. So when we drive, we unplug that because sometimes the toilet slides a little bit, but it's pretty effective at airing out the toilet situation. Okay. So Justin has to slide it forward to be able to open it up.
Just a little bit. The latch.
There it is. The brown that you see is the sphagnum moss. That's not poop. That's sphagnum moss on top.
New bag. Alright.
This is the part where I get the biggest whiff of the stink.
Yeah.
Which is odd because the poop bag is all tied up, but
just sealed on it. The latches again. You're good to go. And then when you poop, you have to add some more moss and open the little doors she talked about when you do your business.
we also put the moss in to start off, so there's always some dry
bag outside.
So there's always some dry material to begin with. So the keys for the composting toilet to remember is that we are not trying to compost our waste. The toilet is not actually accomplishing the composting. The waste would have to sit for a lot longer time, like months and months. It would have to be churned. It has to be the exact right consistency. So if we were truly trying to compost it, we wouldn't put it in a bag, and we would take it from our toilet to a pile to sit longer and longer to actually compost. So that's the first caveat, is we're not trying to get the right amount of wet to dry ratio or whatever. We're throwing it away, which I think we talked about in our other video about the toilet, about throwing the waste away. No different than if you were throwing away a bag of baby diapers. We just tie it up, it's in a compostable bag, and we just throw it into like a dumpster or a big trash can or just anywhere where it won't surprise somebody. So we add sphagnum moss right at the beginning. You can also add like cedar chips, basically any sort of like dry plant matter that will help to absorb the wetness. And then we throw our toilet paper straight in through the trapdoor with the waste. So that also helps keep the liquid situation squared away. We start off with Sphagnum moss. We add our waste. Also, because I am female, I use toilet paper every time I go to the bathroom. So that also helps keep the moisture to wetness ratio ironed out. If it was like 3 dudes using the same toilet, then maybe you'd be adding more moss more regularly because you probably have less toilet paper going in. And again, if you're actually trying to compost, then you're going to have to pay attention to the type of toilet paper that you use and the ratio of those things. We use Bippy, which is this like bamboo cool stuff. I don't know if it composts better. I think it is more biodegradable than the average toilet paper.
You can also add like mesquite chips, like kind of wood smoking chips to it too. That kind of helps with the smell sometimes. But as Liz was saying, the door, the fan, it honestly smells better than your toilet at home, just because it's so contained and it has a vent to it. So people are grossed out by it. I could never do that, but it's honestly been really fine, really great. I kind of like almost prefer it sometimes.
Yeah, it's really not that big of a deal. Someone asked me what happens if someone is ill and the consistency of your waste is a little sloppier. And again, I would just say then you're just adding more of the moss or the wood chips or whatever that you're using to make sure that it's not sloshy. We've not had any issues with that. We've also been not feeling great, and we've never had a problem adding that consistency or getting it to the right amount of liquid. So that's also not a fear or not a thing that you need to be worried about. Okay, next warning. I'm going to talk about being a woman for a second. So if you're horrified by that, skip ahead a minute or two. Okay, so I was really nervous about having my monthly experience in the trailer. I didn't know what that would be like. I didn't know how that would change things for us. And turns out it was 0% of an issue and not a big deal at all. I use a cup, which means I have to empty the cup into the toilet, so no big deal. I just empty it into the pee portion of the toilet and use a wipe to clean my cup, put the wipe in the waste portion, and carry on. Obviously, the urine is no longer yellow colored, but it's really been super easy and not a big deal. If you use pads or tampons and you are not composting, then you could just throw those straight into the waste portion. And actually that's better than the average toilet, right? The average toilet, you're not supposed to flush all of that stuff down. So very simple, very easy. I can't speak to it if you're actually trying to compost your waste. Then you would probably need to wrap up your whatever product you've used and throw that in the trash. But that has been like one worry fully ticked off, not an issue, not a thing to be stressed about. Back to your regular programming. Let's talk about pee. How is it to empty the pee, Justin?
Fine. So what we do with the pee is I just take it outside, carry the thing, and then dump it in the black water site at a trailer. I guess if we're out in the woods, we'll just walk up a hill, try to get away from water, kind of dig a little hole for it, and just kind of dump the pee in the woods like you would. It's just like a lot of pee. How much does that thing hold? Like a gallon?
It's a lot of urine.
Yeah, it's funny. You realize that how much urine 2 people make in like 2 or 3 days. It's pretty astounding. Our kidneys are working! Yay! So it's not that bad.
It's not that bad. I would also offer that when we stayed at a park that didn't have a black water hole, but they had open restrooms or like a shower area, then I just carried the pee bottle. We have a bag that we put it in. I just carried the pee bottle into the toilets, poured it into the toilet. It basically, the toilet flushes itself when you add that volume of liquid. So You just pour it carefully so you don't pour pee onto the seat so it doesn't drip down the bottle. I usually wipe down the bottle afterwards, and it's super easy. We could theoretically go into any toilet and pour it in because it's just urine. You're just putting urine in a toilet. Not a big deal. It feels a little strange, so we have a bag for it to go in. We haven't had to do that in like a really public place, but it's not a big deal if that is how you end up having to empty it. Very, very simple. I would say we've not dug a hole for the urine. I think when Justin had to empty it in the woods, he just tries to find a place where there's no plants. So we're not like drowning a plant with a gallon of urine. If we pour it over just like bare ground, then it's perfect and not a big deal. So I would say most of the time we like the composting toilet as much or more than our flushable toilet, like a conventional toilet in a home. Changing it's not our favorite job, but it's not a big deal. We've both done both things and it's easy. Also, when we're cleaning, we're trying to be really intentional with the products that we use in the trailer. So we try to find things that are compostable or biodegradable, as safe as we can possibly make them, even though we're not just throwing things about. So we're using Blue Land, and when I'm gonna clean the toilet, this happens, I don't know, a couple times a week maybe, I literally just spray it down with the Blue Land. You can wipe it down. The door is the thing that needs wiping the most. You can see there's sphagnum moss on it right now. That's not poop, that's just moss. It's dry. And then I'll wipe it down to clean the door or wipe around, but literally we spray it, we wipe it down, that's it. When we shower, it gets wet. When we shower, we use the squeegee. Is that what we call this? We use the squeegee to wipe down the walls, to wipe off the top of the toilet. It's so much less gross and so much easier than cleaning a regular toilet. Not terrible, not a big deal. Just wipe it down.